We're going through every MLB team's current most likely Hall of Famer. We just got some Hall of Fame news. Jeff Kent's going in. We thought it was pretty topical. So, yeah, all 30 teams will give you a prediction as to who on this current Major League roster could be the most likely next Hall of Famer for your favorite team. If you like what you're seeing over here, make sure you are subscribed. 10,000 subscribers. We're giving away a signed MLB jersey, also on our TikTok, also on our Instagram. If you have not yet followed over there, make sure you do. Giveaways everywhere. Appreciate you guys. Let's get going right into this one. We've been starting with the West, James. Do we show the Central some love to start?
I'm down to show the Central some love. I got some funny picks for the Central. So
But
I'm
NL
ready to rip
Central,
them.
of course, because not the
NL
American
Central.
League Central. Yeah.
No, there's never any American League Central respect. But where do you want to go for the National League Central to start?
I'll start off with the Chicago Cubs. If we're going to pick one of the least exciting divisions, we could pick with the biggest team, arguably, in the entire Central, being the Cubs. To me, this one, there's not a real obvious guy that's like right now ready to be someone who's on like a Hall of Fame path, but simply because Pete Crow Armstrong put up like a 6-WAR season as a 23-year-old, and the fact that his defense is going to be so elite. Every single year that he's a league average hitter, he's going to be a 5-win player. If he has a 15-year career, you're looking at a guy who's got Hall of Fame-ish WAR accumulation.
Okay, I like that we started there because I also picked PCA for the exact same reasoning. So I think that's a good way to intro into this video, being like, we're going to basically look at this like who can just like maintain a path and maintain a trajectory. And you described it perfectly right there. Like Pete Crow Armstrong, it'd be kind of like a travesty if you didn't get to 50 career WAR. If you get to 50 career WAR, like you're going to be close to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, was it Harold Baines had like 37? So anyone above him.
We're not using the Baines meter for this one, but like looking at some of these new guys who are going to possibly get in, guys like, the Rat, the second baseman from Philly, who's around 50 WAR. Like that's kind of the line that the modern voter starts to look at. And then from there, you can kind of figure it out.
Yeah, and I think PCA on the Cubs is the best example. There's really no pitchers that are any sort of interesting.
Also, the Cubs just are a team. While they're a good team, it was difficult to find any Hall of Fame probable player from this team. Like Dansby Swanson the prime's over; he'll never get close. Say Suzuki, like Ian Happ, like Kyle Tucker's not in this team anymore. Like no one here can even. Cade Horton. I was going to say Cade Horton.
No.
Like no one can even get remotely close to the Hall of Fame, really. Besides maybe Pete Crow Armstrong.
And one thing that I particularly looked for in this is if a team didn't have an obvious guy, looking for someone who did something at an elite level. And for PCA, he might go down as one of the best defensive center fielders ever, which is insane to say, but he truly is fantastic, phenomenal to watch out there.
Yeah, so while this video is most likely a Hall of Famer from every team, you guys probably expecting older players. I think a lot of our lists are going to wind up being much younger players.
Yeah, a pretty good chunk of them. Cincinnati Reds, I think that could be another one of those young players, right?
Yeah, for me, I had Ellie De La Cruz for this one for kind of a similar reason to PCA, where Ellie De La Cruz just finished his age 23 season and he's already accumulated 13 WAR.
Yeah, like that's it. That's a record pace.
Like he's played 2 full seasons and it's 11 WARs. Like you're on your way to accumulating enough wins above replacement at that point while you're doing that. And Ellie De La Cruz still has the ceiling. There's still a lot more to go upwards on Ellie De La Cruz to have 8, 9 win seasons. Like he has so much power in his bat. He's so fast. He has so much defensive upside. I know there's a lot of defensive inconsistencies with him, but there's so much more he can do. He always feels like he's one step away from being on the Bobby Witt trajectory.
Well, what's so funny about him is I think you could make the argument that he hasn't even really played that well yet.
Yeah, really. 2 years ago was really good.
2 years ago was really good. But there was even during that season, there were some major up and downs because he was 21 years old. Like there were still some inconsistencies, and that's really been the biggest knock for him. And even still then, he's putting up all the numbers that you love. He's going to steal bases, going to hit home runs. You mentioned the glove. He's so young. Some of these guys that start young and get these numbers off early, it's just hard to not be on a trajectory considering the value that he's accumulated thus far.
It's also not saying a lot to have the most likely Hall of Famer on the current iteration of the Cincinnati Reds. That's not really exactly a hard thing to do. But it was funny about Ellie this season that everyone was always really critical about Ellie for the strikeouts. In 2024, he had the 25 homer, almost 70 steal season, 20% better than league average with the bat, 6-7 win season. But the strikeout rate being over 30% was still a sticking point for a lot of people. This year, the strikeout rate got down to near league average of 26%. The power stayed actually, in actuality, the same, only a few fewer home runs, but the bat speed was down, the approach was still weird, but the strikeouts were down. That was the one thing people were scared about, and then the fact that the production wasn't as good, it's a funny push and pull for Elliott. I'm excited to see him develop.
Yeah, I think he'll do pretty fine. It seems like
confident.
I also really love Terry Francona being his manager. That's a good heat check for Ellie De La Cruz every once in a while.
Yeah, and great for that Reds team making the playoffs this year. But next, this one made me sad. The St. Louis Cardinals.
I think we are both going to say Nolan Arenado, right?
Yeah, and it's funny that Nolan Arenado, the fact that he turned 32 and fell off the face of the earth, had no more talent left in his bones, but still has like a comparable Hall of Fame case to guys like Edgar Martinez and Scott Rowland, especially for peak WAR. The best 7-year accumulation of WAR they ever had is on par with those guys. Like he'll still be a guy that gets like hipster consideration down the line, but I do think that if he even just had average seasons from 32 to 35, he would almost be a shoo-in. But now it's kind of probably gone by the wayside.
Yeah, I still think he's probably going to get in just
That's
because.
what I'm saying. He's like
especially because Roland got in, and I think Arenado and Roland in terms of value pretty similar. I do think Arenado is better, but at the same time, like you mentioned, he is kind of having that Andrew Jones thing where he hit that age, and now the production has dropped off, not as hard, but it has dropped off. This next season is going to be really big. Like, if Nolan Arenado is a league average hitter, it probably helps a lot. But if he goes back to being like a 600 OPS guy at age 35, he might not get many more seasons left in the majors.
I thought that about last season, and he didn't really do it. And he started off hot. It's just it feels like the door might be closing on Nolan Arenado. Maybe Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim help him find something new.
But he is also the only choice on the St. Louis Cardinals.
Only one even close. Another team that I found it hard to do, so I did something a little different with the Brewers. I figured you would go Churio.
No.
Okay.
Did we hive mind this one? I went Christian Yelich.
I did Christian Yelich too. We're hive minding so far.
Okay, so here's my reasoning. Let's see if it's the same for you. Christian Yelich, I think, is 34 at the time of recording. He's going into his 35-year-old season. If he plays through age 40, through his age 40 season, averages 133 hits a year, that'll put him at 2,700 hits for his career. That's a big number. That's not 3,000, but 2,700 all of a sudden gets you in the conversation, especially because he's someone who has an MVP, was a good player, had big peaks. And if he continues to hit at the pace that he hits home runs at, which is about 18 a year, which doesn't feel ridiculous, be like 35 or 350 home runs. So 350 home runs, 2,700 hits. The DH stuff is going to hurt his WAR accumulation, which again, a lot of people look at, and I'm sure in this video, people are going to freak out that that's being talked about as much as it is. But there's a path for Christian Yelich.
But the thing is that Christian Yelich's peak, his first peak, was so incredible that he's already approaching 50 WAR. Like, if he could get to 50 WAR next season if things break perfectly. Probably 2 seasons, though. And it sucks because if the back injury didn't happen, Christian Yelich was on his way to being like a surefire Hall of Famer. Yeah. He accumulated 30 WAR through 6 seasons. At the time, he had a 300 batting average with 140 homers and 125 steals. Like, to have extrapolated that, you would have gotten very close 3,000 hits, like you said. Like, it was all there. And it's funny that even last season, Christian Yelich was completely turning back the clock. He looked like one of the best players in baseball again. And then the back came back the second time. It does seem like it's pushed him back, but like even pushing him back, just saying back all the time. But like even this past year, the fact that he put up almost 30 home runs, 260, like he was an 800 OPS guy easily. Like there's a real path here for Christian Yelich. He wasn't actually an 800 OPS guy. I'm looking right now.
It was close, yeah.
Yeah, it's close. 20% better than league average with the stick. There's actually a world where he can still pull this off. There's going to be a weird, like a hipster Hall of Fame case, but I do like Christian Yelich a lot, and I hate when guys' Hall of Fame cases are destroyed by back injuries specifically.
Yeah, I wonder we're going to have to come up with a new number, especially for not guys like Yelich, but now modern baseball values a walk so much more than it previously was. So 3,000 hits was the big thing. A guy like Yelich's hits numbers are way down, despite having a career 370 on base, which is... That's elite levels. We're talking about some of the best hitters of all time. 370 on base. You'd be like, holy, sign me up. All that's a Hall of Fame career. He has 834 walks, 1,700 hits. Like, he's going to finish with probably close to 1,000 walks, 2,500 hits.
How that probably winds up working is that instead of the 300 batting average being like the staple for Hall of Famers, does that just wind up being like 850 OPS? Like, how close does the guy get to 850 OPS? It feels not the same, but like...
Yeah, I think people want counting numbers for the Hall of Fame. I don't think... And it's hard to...
300 batting average was always like a bang. 300 batting average gets you in.
But that also was because usually you had 3,000 hits if you hit 300.
True, yeah. No, totally. But you always hear that one, say that one. I want to bring... the first pitcher to the board. One of very few pitchers on my board. For the Pirates, of course, being Paul Skeens.
Yeah.
Just, I don't think sometimes we realize how good the start of Paul Skeens' career has been. Like he's the first qualified pitcher since Doc Gooden in 1985 to have a sub-2 ERA in their age 23 season or younger. Like that's like he's now thrown 320 major league innings. The ERA is under 2, like the WHIP's under 1. Like this is like the fact that we have to compare Paul Skeens to Doc Gooden to get like a comp for this point in a career is obscene.
Yeah, you just don't really see young pitchers as polished and as good and as nasty and as dominant as Paul Skeens is. It happens once every 30, 40 years. It's not very common. And for him, through his first 300 innings of his career, to have a sub-2 ERA, we're obviously never going to look at wins and losses with Paul Skeens. That would be absolutely insane. A sub-1 whip. He strikes everybody out. Every single number that you want is incredible. And what's really going to happen for Paul Skeens, and it's really going to make the conversation interesting, is how's he not winning more Cy Young awards? He's already got one at age 23. He's got to have at least 2 in him.
And of course, there's tons of projection on all of this. Paul Skeens, pitchers get hurt, pitchers break all the time. But like for this exercise, we're going to just try and extrapolate the career based on what we've seen.
Yeah, best case scenarios.
We're having fun with this one. We're being optimist, the rosy view. I think also everyone, especially I think comes from our dads. We always hear so much about those first 2 Doc Gooden seasons, like the best we've ever seen. And like Doc in those 2 seasons had 500 innings, so again, it's a little different than Paul Skeens. But Skeens has a lower ERA, a lower WHIP, and a higher strikeout rate than those first 2 Doc seasons.
Could also make an argument there's a lot more better hitters now than there were in the 80s as well, fully in Major League Baseball.
A lot better preparation. But also, these guys are seeing Paul Skeens less often because they're not facing him 3-4 times an outing.
Probably also not taking stimulants. I think that's the best
Probably
way to say
not.
it.
Yeah, probably not. He's one of the only pitchers on this list that's not a dinosaur that I can really, really see.
I think I had 2 non-dinosaurs. Otherwise, yeah, very, very hitter forward. It's also really hard to value pitchers right now because the Hall of Fame was a 300 win you're in. And then, otherwise you had to be insanely dominant. Something that we just don't see anymore.
No, and it was all about long primes back then. But now there might be something like short peaks get guys in. I have some pitchers on this list, a few more than you, so I'm excited to talk about them.
All right, let's go to the AL Central. We finished the NL Central there, right? We got all the teams. All right, AL Central, let's start off with, without a doubt, the hardest team to pick. Okay. The Chicago White Sox. I'll be honest, I don't think there's a single person in that entire organization, top to bottom, that will be in the Hall of Fame. You force me to choose. My spin zone is if Kyle Teal hits like he does every single year for the next 15 years, he'll have like 2,400 hits at the catcher position. You get into the Hall of Fame.
I thought about Kyle Teal too. I figured you'd go that way, so I went someone else. But Kyle Teal also has the benefit of sometimes you just let a catcher into the Hall of Fame on vibes. Yeah. And Kyle Teal seems like a good vibes catcher. Where if
All-American catcher.
If Kyle Teal winds up, and I don't know if this is going to happen for the White Sox, but if it does happen for the White Sox, it'll be even a bigger feather in his cap. If Kyle Teal just wins a championship and he gets like 2,200 hits, like you said, that's probably a Hall of Famer. But again, similar idea, but much more projected out than Ellie. I just went Colson Montgomery because he just played the 6-win pace for his first half season in the league. At the same time, he barely held a 300 on base percentage. I don't know what Colson Montgomery looks like next season, but if Colson Montgomery is a shortstop that gets to 400 home runs and plays really good defense half the time, maybe, why not? Who knows?
Yeah, that's a pretty good flip of the coin if you're forcing me to pick someone. I'll be honest, Minnesota Twins had a tough time too.
They might have been the most difficult on the board. That was not obvious.
The only reason I went Byron Buxton is simply just because right now I think he's sitting at, let me get the number exactly, I think he's right around 30 WAR for his career. He's got probably 3-4 more seasons left of his prime where I think you could see Byron Buxton be valuable. The problem is injuries for him always. But he was a 5-win player this year in 120 games. Let's just say he plays 120 every season for the next 3. Another 5 puts him at like 45 WAR.
Yeah, we're 42.
Yeah, we're in the conversation of someone who's going to get on the ballot at least. And I couldn't find anybody else that was close.
No, I did Buxton for the same reason. Buxton could wind up having a Hall of Fame case similar to a guy like Jacob deGrom, where like you'll be able to pull up Byron Buxton's WAR per 162 in like 13 years and be like, wow, Byron Buxton was a 6-win player per 162. Like this guy's like if he could have just stayed on the field, like it was kind of like haphazardness where most of the injury cases you kind of just happens, and of course Byron Buxton would need to sustain a prime through his late 30s to even make this a remote consideration.
And health.
Yes, Byron Buxton would have to stop getting injured tomorrow and not get injured for the next 8 years to make this possible. But it's the most on the roster.
Yeah, by far the most, the best chance. Detroit Tigers, who you got, James?
So, again, I just want to pick some more pitchers, and I'm picking Scooble for this one because at some point, we are going to have to completely redefine the way we think about the Hall of Fame for pitchers. No one's ever getting 300 wins again.
No.
It's kind of a sad thing. I don't know how many people are getting 3,000 strikeouts ever again, like, truthfully. Like, these are things that are not going to happen. So, at some point, even a guy like Skubal that started late, if he sustains, like, and this is saying a lot, if he has, like, a Scherzer or a Verlander 30 to 40 right now, he will be a Hall of Famer. Like, he'll be on track to that, especially if possibly he winds up on, like, a team like the Dodgers or something, and he winds up winning a bunch of rings like that, and he has 2 more Cy Youngs like that. He'll get in on that, just on the vibe of the generation.
Yeah, I think like the way we have to look at pitchers now is exactly how Sandy Koufax was looked at when he got put into the Hall of Fame. Because if you looked at Sandy Koufax's career, obviously he's a Hall of Famer. He's great. But his career took off when he was 26, and he had 5 seasons of absolute domination. But prior to that, he was like a 4 ERA pitcher, like in his early 20s with the Brooklyn Dodgers and the LA Dodgers. So his prime was later, and he stopped playing at age 30, and we know what was going on with him. But I think that's what we need to consider now. Like, sometimes for these pitchers, it's not necessarily going to be accumulating like it used to be, where now it's like you can't talk about the 2020s of baseball without Tarik Skubal, and again, 2 Cy Young awards. Like, you're putting yourself already in a conversation that almost nobody is in.
I think it's like 16 guys ever. It's always Jacob deGrom stat.
And he might have 1 more in him. Like, probably feels pretty good.
Might have 2 more in him.
Yeah.
But it's also, it's the same way that, like, Felix Hernandez is being viewed on the ballot right now. Like, Felix Hernandez got nowhere close to the accumulation of Hall of Famers, but if you watch baseball in, like, the 2010s, you were like, that's a Hall of Famer right
He
there.
was unbelievable, yeah.
Like, there was a 9-year stretch where you just couldn't touch the guy. And if there's a 9-year stretch where you're considered one of the 5 best pitchers in the league, like, I think that makes you a Hall of Famer.
And I think pitching more than hitting, it should be viewed like that. I think hitting, you still do need more longevity.
Definitely. And again, I think those 2 things will start to diverge in that sense. I saw a great chart on Twitter from Dan Zamborski. He does the ZiPS projection model for Fangraphs. And because people are talking about how we can't make the Hall big. All these guys in the ballot now are not Hall of Famers. It's an unbelievable downtick of the percentage of baseball players who are Hall of Famers. And part of that is how many more players play in the average season now than years past. But in 1990, over 10% of the players that percentage of position player played appearances became Hall of Famers. It was over 10% in 1990.
Wow.
In 2010, it was like 2.5%.
That's insane.
So it's a situation where, again, there's a lot more platoons now. There's a lot more there's not as many chances to really prove yourself over a long term. You guys check out the Foolish Baseball video from a couple months ago about old players don't exist anymore. You just don't have enough time to accumulate those stats. We probably should be getting more lenient with the way we view this to let these generations get their Hall of Famers.
Yeah, because I think you do have to kind of look at it in a vacuum, like for that generation. It's impossible to compare, the numbers that someone puts up now to like Babe Ruth or like pictures of even the 60s, like Bob Gibson. Bob Gibson is incredible. I'm not saying anything bad about him, but it's impossible to compare a modern pitcher to him.
The 1983 Hall of Fame ballot, 16 players from that ballot wound up reaching the Hall of Fame.
That's crazy.
Even if you go to the 1991 ballot, 13 of those players reached the Hall of Fame.
That's a lot.
So people would just let people in the Hall of Fame back then. So maybe we are doing a little bit too much gatekeeping for this era.
Kansas City Royals.
I gotta go with my boy Bobby Witt. That's
Bobby
it.
Witt, okay.
He's on the path.
We have different ones. Yes, I went Salvador Perez.
Okay, nice. Yeah, good. I'm excited for you to do Salvador Perez, but we're working on a 3-year stretch, the beginning of Bobby Witt's career, where he's blatantly one of the best players in baseball. Like, the only player who's accumulated more WAR than him over the last 3 seasons is Aaron Judge. He's got more than Ohtani. He's got more than Soto. He's got more than Francisco Lindor. He's got a better baseball reference WAR than Lindor over his first 3 seasons. He's got a higher OPS and slightly less WAR than A-Rod over their first 3 seasons. Same exact with Cal Ripken Jr. Like, this is, again, extrapolate the next decade, he should be on pace to be one of the best shortstops of all time.
Yeah, no, Bobby Witt's a great pick. I went Salvi. I got to rep my guy. I don't think he's going to get into the Hall of Fame, but I want to make a case. I want to make a case for him right now. One, defensively, during his prime, he was amazing. He's also still incredible at throwing out runners. He doesn't frame anymore, but who cares? It's going to go away. He's elite at throwing out runners. Still got a cannon. Still crazy moves well to throw out runners, despite being one of the slowest people on the planet right now that plays professional baseball. But here's what I'm going to sell you with. Right now, Salvador Perez, for players who caught at least 75% of the games in their career, he's 8th all-time in home runs. He's 8 behind Pudge. He's behind Gary Carter, Yogi Berra. I think Salvi might have about 50, 60, maybe 70 home runs left in his career. That would put him like in the top 3. That would put him in the same realm of like Carlton Fisk, Yogi Berra, ahead of Gary Carter for most home runs by a catcher. that is something. That tells you something about Salvador Perez playing the toughest position.
100%.
He's going to play probably over 2,000 games at the position. Not many guys have done that and been good. He's one of the rare guys.
I think also similar to how we're talking about pitcher, that we should be looking at catchers very differently in terms of the Hall of Fame. And I think that sometimes Salvador Perez specifically, I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer.
He probably doesn't get in.
Yeah, I'll probably think about that when the time comes. But when his case does reach the interwebs, Twitter, all of the war bros will go online. Look at how many career war he has. He shouldn't reach the Hall of Fame. Where, like, there is a bit of a wiggle room with Salvador Perez. Like, I also think Yadier Molina probably should be a Hall of Famer. Like, I don't think that's
like I do and I
controversial take.
don't. Yeah, like defensively, there's no doubt he's one of the best of all time. But then at the plate, it's like he's Ozzie Smith at catchers, which is kind of funny because it's the same organization.
Yeah, but like it's like that, and I think Salvador's in that same ilk. And just talk about how good Salvi still is as a catcher. This past year, there were 70 stolen base attempts against the Kansas City Royals. And they only allowed 47 stolen bases. The team that allowed the next fewest stolen bases was the Milwaukee Brewers at 78.
That's crazy.
So there were more successful steals against them than total stolen base attempts against Salvador Perez and also Freddie Fermin, who was there for most of the season as well. They threw out, as a team, a third of the base runners. The only other team that threw out a third of the opposing base runners, Mark?
The New York Mets.
New York Mets nailed it right there. That was a miracle. You got that one.
Couple teams that didn't make the playoffs right there.
Couple teams did not make the playoffs, but he still got it back there. Is all I want to say.
Last team of the division, Cleveland Guardians. You want to say it on 3, James? 3,
yes.
2, 1. Jose Ramirez. Yeah, I mean, there's no
a lock for the Hall of Fame. I'll tell you that lock. Jose Ramirez get hit by a bus tomorrow. He's making the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Jose Ramirez has the most top 5 MVP finishes ever for a third baseman. Ever.
Wow. That's a fun
history
stat.
of baseball. It's the whole thing. Like Jose Ramirez, he's played like 500 fewer games than Manny Machado and has like 10 more WAR. Like he is a fucking beast. I love Jose Ramirez. He's such a great player.
Yeah, we're probably going to see a guy who's going to finish with around 400 home runs, around 350 stolen bases, an OPS around 850, 900, and like you mentioned, just consistently one of the best players in baseball every single year. J-Ram he's a dog. We love J-Ram.
It's also so funny to look back at his career and be like, one, he has not helped in a decade since Francisco Lindor was traded.
Nope.
He's still every single year 4, 5, 6 win seasons. And when you look back at Jose Ramirez's career, the worst year of his career by far was 2019, when that was everyone's stat padding season with the fake baseball. And I'm pretty sure if I remember right, his wife was pregnant with either their first or second child, and he talked about the whole first half. He was just distracted with that. He was just freaking out about that. But I love Jose Ramirez.
Also, a lesson in patience with prospects. The first 160 games over 3 seasons for Jose Ramirez's career, he had a 644 OPS. He was dog shit. He was not good.
Well, he wasn't even a prospect either.
No.
Guy was no kind of prospect. He was like, who's this pudgy Dominican third baseman that's like
That's
5
got a
foot
squeaky
11
voice, yeah.
and a chomp in his mouth the size of my fist.
By the way, he's 5'8". That's what he's listed at. 5'8".
crazy.
That is
That's probably
smaller than me.
Yeah, it's almost my size. Again, testament to Jose Ramirez. Like, hats off to him. I might go to Cooperstown for that induction.
All right. Let's move it.
I love that guy.
What's the next division, James? Where do you want to go?
Let's go out west. Let's close with the East.
All right, let's go out west. NL West. I'm getting to start with the San Francisco Giants. Who'd you pick?
I think that the basic pick here to make, of course, is Justin Verlander because
Is he still on that team? No, he's a free agent now.
I think he's not. But assuming he's going to wind up back on the team for 1 year, just see how many wins he can get.
Sure. Yes. Obviously, whatever team Justin Verlander goes to, he's the answer.
But then, right here, this is one again. I'm calling my shot right now. 15 years down the line, we're going to get the down ballot people making the argument that Matt Chapman's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I considered him, and I even compared him to Scott Rowland, who was fringy. Their primes were not the same. Scott Rowland was better. Through their age 32, Scott Rowland had way more WAR. It's not that I don't think Matt Chapman's good. He feels like he's the lock for Hall of really good. Someone who will hang around 10, 15% on the ballot every single year.
But again, this is what I'm telling you, that because
hipsters?
His WAR is so high in Baseball Reference because of that third base defense, the different adjustments they use compared to Fangraphs, that you're going to get the takes. You're going to get the takes. That's going to be something that starts. Like, he could wind up being the next generation's Bobby Abreu just because of that third base defense. He's also going to wind up with 350 home runs. The people will consider him one of the best defenders of this era. Like, if he winds up being a Giant for the next 7 years, finds the counting stats that he has to get, he'll sneak close.
Yeah. For me, I went Rafael Devers just because he's 29 years old. He's got 230 home runs. He hit plenty of home runs in San Francisco, too. Doesn't seem like that's really going to be a problem for him as much. It's definitely going to slow down the offensive numbers a little bit, but probably going to be a guy who has 400 home runs in his career, going to have around 2,500 hits because he does get a ton of hits. And he's become really patient recently. He's getting on base a ton, which is going to keep that OPS high when the slugging goes down from being in San Francisco. Going to be tough, I think, because he's got zero defensive value, and he's not going to hit that 500 number, which is what I think you kind of need to be an absolute lock. He's going to have like a similar-ish career, I think, looking back, you'd be like, man, him and Carlos Delgado, like those two guys feel like they should be Hall of Famers, and they didn't get in.
And I think by the end of Rafael Devers' career, he's probably going to rub some people the wrong way too.
Yep.
For right or wrong, like Delgado did, could be keeping Delgado out of the Hall of Fame right now. I want to go with like probably the easiest one on the board, but easy and funny, the Dodgers.
Freddie Freeman.
This team, the fact they have 3 Hall of Fame locks is despicable.
Yeah.
I mean, like we could just kind of get rid of Shohei. I love that. You know how Shohei does like the baseball reference similarity scores for players.
Yeah.
As a hitter, Shohei's similarity scores were Juan Soto and Pete Alonso.
Nice.
And as a pitcher was Jose Fernandez.
Could you even imagine?
No, imagine if Juan Soto could pitch like Jose Fernandez. Think about that for a second. That's what Shohei is. It's obscene. But so you do Freddie, I'll do Mookie.
Yeah. So Freddie Freeman. I mean, you've watched him play. You've seen what he's done. He's got these counting numbers. He's going to probably get to 400 home runs in his career. He's at 367 right now. He's got the most active hits in Major League Baseball at 2,400. So he'll probably finish around close to 3,000 in his career, if not get there. He's, I think, the most likely guy right now to probably reach 3,000 that's currently playing. Career batting average at 300. Career OPS at 900. He's won an MVP. He's won Gold Gloves. He's won Silver Sluggers. We all know he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, no, I think so, definitely. Freddie Freeman also very clearly has Hall of Fame vibes. Like, that's the best way I can describe that. Like, he feels like a Hall of Famer. He's treated like a Hall of Famer. It's also so funny how many home runs Freddie Freeman has when he only has 3 40 home run seasons his entire career.
Yeah, it's nuts.
That's a shocking thing to think about. I also love that I looked I was going deep through Jaws to find this on Baseball Reference, and his peak WAR for 7 is below Goldschmidt and Matt Olson.
I believe it.
Isn't that funny?
I think he didn't have the maybe not Matt Olson, but Goldschmidt, remember, used to be like a phenomenal base runner.
Yeah, no, Goldschmidt's gonna be a funny Hall of Fame guy. I think about. I didn't put him on this list, but that'll be a fun debate when the time comes. So I want to talk about Mookie. The only right fielders ever with a higher WAR, peak 7-year WAR were Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, Stan Musial, and Aaron Judge.
Yeah,
like he's over a 60 WAR player already. Mookie's another guy where if he stopped playing baseball
right now,
if he stopped playing baseball tomorrow, he would be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, first
no
ballot.
doubt.
Yeah,
three rings, clutch the whole way through. Like he is.
And now you're gonna add he's gonna be
shortstop.
an elite right fielder, and he's gonna also be a phenomenal shortstop. There's nobody that's really done that.
No, if he puts up the next 2 years of still playing good shortstop defense, which would be a lot considering that he's getting into his mid-30s right now, but it's possible because he's like, in terms of pure athlete, one of the best we've seen in baseball in a long time. Like he could wind up having those like some of those like Ernie Banks like stats when you look back. Like the only guy ever to play, I think, was Ernie's like 500 games at first base and shortstop, which is funny.
I think Robin Yount would be the closest, right? Because Yount played center field and shortstop. Like that's the next closest thing.
Yount played center field like back in the day when you just made him a center fielder.
Fast guy.
Yeah, you're like, you might not be that good at this, but get out there and go get it.
I like those. I mean, yeah, Dodgers have a million picks. So how about
Can I give you one more funny Dodgers one?
Yeah, give me a funny one.
This might hurt today.
Oh,
Edwin Diaz might wind up being a Hall of Fame reliever.
I hate you so much.
Edwin Diaz is like right now. I think he's the highest strikeout rate in the history of baseball.
Really?
It's at 40% for his career.
Nice.
Like if Billy Wagner got in, like if Edwin Diaz wins, and I guarantee he wins one of the next 3 World Series with the Dodgers.
Yeah, it feels pretty good.
He closed out a World Series game. He has the highest strikeout rate ever. Like you'll definitely have people banging the drum for Edwin Diaz.
It's probably another reason why I went to the Dodgers. It's like get your ring, you're probably going to the Hall.
Yeah, it seems like an easy choice now thinking about it objectively.
Oh, God. That's
sorry.
All right. Back to it. You know what? Let's shit on the Rockies for like a minute.
Yeah.
They got nobody in that organization. So I went to the minor leagues and I said Ethan Holiday at 18 years old. That's their next best shot at a Hall of Famer.
I mean, I do like that. It seems like the Rockies might be making relatively smart hires. Like we kind of clowned on DePodesta a little bit, but they hired, but not Josh Burns, who I think was the AGM with the Giants, to be the GM there, and they also just took Tommy Tanis from the Mets
and
to be their head of scouting,
assistant pitching guy from the Marlins.
Aaron Leichman.
Leichman, yeah.
You gotta do a Leichman, but
yeah.
But they seem like they're making smart hires. So anyone who hasn't debuted yet, you might have a shot for the Hall of Fame.
Who'd you pick?
I didn't pick anyone. I just
you
wrote
refused.
I wrote ha in my notes.
Yeah, I mean it's really hard.
That was actually impossible. Like there's not even anyone close.
San Diego Padres.
I said Manny Machado.
Yeah, I did Manny Machado too.
I was hoping you'd do someone else because Machado's boring, but like he's He's only 130 homers away from 500. He's already
which
has
is
60.
crazy.
He already has 60 WAR. Like he came up so young. The trend of a lot of these guys were coming up so young.
Yeah.
Like getting meaningful at bats, starting to accumulate those stats when you're 21, 22, 23 years old. Like you're there. But Machado feels like a lock.
It's also a pretty good chance he gets 3,000 hits as well. He's at like 2,100, a little under 2,100 right now. He's going to be 33.
Still
6 more
playing.
years of like 120 hits this season. He's going to get there pretty much.
Honestly, yeah, good for Machado. Like Machado was one of the first like phenoms I remember, like starting in the draft, getting to the pros, and like watching him flourish. I like Machado.
He definitely is a Hall of Famer. Same thing. Got hit by a
100%.
bus today. He's a Hall of
Yes,
Famer.
Hall of Famer, 100%. That should be one of the categories.
If you got hit by a bus today,
Yeah. And so far we have Freddie, Mookie, probably Shohei, which is kind of funny. Machado, J Ram. Those
There's a
are
few
hit by
more,
bus
too.
Hall of Famers.
Yeah. Diamondbacks, last team here. Who you got, James?
I did this one as kind of like a regretful one. Like on talent alone, Ketel Marte should be approaching these lists.
Yeah.
But he just was so inconsistent, hasn't played enough baseball to actually accumulate any of this stuff. We're gonna look at Ketel Marte when he retired and be like, why didn't you get closer to reaching the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, he's going to be someone you look back on and you're like, what an unbelievable player. And similarly, like some hipsters are going to be like, but what about these years?
Yeah, like Ketel Marte could have like a David Wright Hall of Fame case.
Yes.
Like he could wind up with like, I think David Wright got like the 45, 48 WAR. And like you saw crazy peak seasons, but the injuries, even though Ketel Marte's injuries is like just missing 15 games a year with 6 different injuries.
My pick, Corbin Carroll. He's put up 16 WAR in 4 seasons, one of them being 32 games, where he still put up 1.5 WAR in that 32-game stretch. It's just really good. Like, in terms of guy, he's going to put up, like, a shocking amount of triples that we haven't seen in a very long time in Major League Baseball because of the park he plays in and because he's so fast. He also hits 25 to 30 home runs a year, and he plays pretty good defense in the outfield, and he does everything you'd want out of a good player. It's going to take a lot of projection for him, a lot of time still left. But from the small sample that we've seen thus far in terms of a relative major league career, he's off to an incredible start. He's off to being one of the best Diamondbacks to ever play.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I knew you were going to do Carroll, so I want to just be a little different. Have some different differences here.
I wanted Ketel, but I just couldn't get myself to do it.
I feel you. So AL West now?
Yeah, AL West.
I just kind of want to, pour one out, start with the Angels and Mike Trout.
Yeah.
Just like
Same thing. He gets hit by a bus. He's a Hall of Famer.
totally. And I don't know how old you guys are who watch this channel, but like if you were near Mark and I's age, late 20s, early 30s, and you could have seen the Mike Trout prime as it was happening when you were like a teenager, like it was a marvel. Like
It was
I'm
fascinating.
I'm sure like that's how it felt to watch literally like Mickey Mantle or Willie Mays. I almost said Mickey Mays there for a second, but like it's sad that it's over, and it was over so quick, but it was so good that it's like there's no doubt.
Yeah, the numbers that he even has at this moment, despite being a shell of himself over like the last 5 years, is crazy. He's at 87.5 WAR, and he accumulated pretty much most of that through age 30. Like the last 3 seasons have been not particularly anything to write home about, especially this past year. He had a sub 800 OPS for the first time really in his career, which is crazy. And it doesn't matter at all because he's going to have probably 500 home runs in his career as long as he keeps playing baseball until he's 40. He's going to have an OPS that almost starts with 1. Like, that's nuts.
He has 10 win seasons. You don't see 10 win seasons. Like it was, he played baseball when he was like in his early 20s with a physicality that you were just shocked by.
He had a 10-win
watching him
season where he
move.
played 139 games his rookie year. Like,
Yeah,
that's legitimately one of the best seasons we've ever seen, and he was 20 years old.
No, it's amazing that the Angels have squandered this entire thing with him. It's kind of sad.
Imagine if they had another guy like Shohei Ohtani on that team, too, at one point.
Imagine if two of the best players of a generation on one team. All you need is a few more to just make that a World Series contender.
That's why they're going after guys like Vaughn Grissom now and Alek Manoah, former top prospects. You got to...
I laughed out loud when I saw the Vaughn Grissom thing today.
It's insane. They're doing the thing that you said. You're like, you know what, Carson Fulmer, let's see.
Yeah.
Former first-round picks, former top prospects.
They took the shot at Mickey Moniak, and he flourished elsewhere.
Yeah, on the Rockies. There's the Rockies' next Hall of Famer, Mickey Moniak.
I would streak if that happened. Astros.
They have a couple choices.
I think one is quite obvious. So I went with the obvious one, which is Jose Altuve.
Of course,
but
me too.
this is one where I think if people get very granular about the Hall of Fame and they take the cheating scandal consideration, I think there's actually a world where this could get closer than I think it probably should be, where his career WAR is just not going to look that good by the end of it. Like
Altuve?
He's about at 50 now, and the fall off is happening actively. Like I don't think there's
Yeah.
many more great seasons left in Jose Altuve, especially like complete seasons where he can play defense and offense together well. Like he has like the same career WAR as Marcus Semien.
Yeah.
And like Altuve has the playoff moments, but like they're there could be eventual thing where it's marred by this cheating scandal. I'm curious how, again, 10 years from now, we discuss Jose Altuve.
I mean, we've already seen Carlos Beltran, who should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer, it got
got
massively nerfed.
He wasn't playing.
And he wasn't, he created it, but he wasn't really playing much. Altuve does have the 4 200-hit seasons, which I think a lot of people will hold account to. He got an MVP. Was it when they were doing the trash can stuff? Sure, but apparently he wasn't involved. And to be honest, I don't really even care.
And also, we know he didn't deserve that MVP.
No, of course not. Should have been Aaron Judge.
Not even close.
And I mean, the second base position is so weak, though. It's an incredibly weak position, and I think like a guy like Jeff Kent getting in really does help Jose Altuve, just because he's better than Jeff Kent.
Definitely, but Jeff Kent, you can say about Jeff Kent definitively most home runs ever for a second base.
Yes,
can't take that away from Jeff Kent.
And Jeff Kent, I also thought should be in the Hall of Fame for that reason.
Definitely.
Yeah,
but there's again like the fact that he's a Hall of Fame vibes for sure. Because you remember this era of baseball, you think about Jose Altuve and you think about this Astros dynasty. But if you get granular and you consider the cheating scandal, I think this is one that can get interesting.
Yeah, he's at 2,300, like almost 2,400 hits right now. He's going to be age 36 next year. So let's just say he's got casually 3 years left, and he's kind of like a 130 to 150 a hit year guy.
450 hits left in his career if things break right.
Yeah, it's going to put him right on the cusp of 3,000.
And this is also a case where he was a full-time player when he was younger, 22, 23 years old, but he didn't really become Jose Altuve until he was a little bit older. It was a later breakout, which just makes, sadly, the Hall of Fame a little bit harder to get.
He would get my vote, though.
Yeah, I'd vote for Jose Altuve.
Also, I think Carlos Correa still is in the conversation. He still is shockingly not that old, and he has so much WAR throughout his career.
Sure, but his bones and his joints don't work very well.
Well, yeah, he has the body of a 70-year-old. We know that. But he's got like 45-ish WAR, I think, right now at the time, and he's like 31, 32. And then also probably a conversation about Josh Hader, too, just for being one of the most dominant relievers of the era.
I'm worried about Josh Hader's shoulder. The injury last year, I think, was very, very, very serious. So I'm wondering what he actually comes back as now, because he needs a late career flourish and some big time playoff moments to really get the Hall of Fame.
But I do think if there's any position that can just continue to be good into your late age, it is relief pitcher.
I think quite the opposite.
No, I think we've seen like if you're a dude who's just dominant and throws Ched like that, like you do just kind of stick around.
Hopefully, if you just keep throwing the Ched, or you get the sad Craig Kimbrell, because I think he was still trying to build a Hall of Fame case.
You think he gets in the Hall of Fame, Craig Kimbrell? No, right?
I don't think so.
Which is crazy because I think his ERA starts at like 2.1 still to this day.
Again, it all depends how much we recalibrate. The more new writers that come onto the ballot, the more we might be able to recalibrate.
Athletics, I have a fun pick.
Well, I just went Nick Kurtz.
Yeah, I did not go with him because I knew you were going to go Mr. Kurtz, and that's fair. That's a very normal pick. I went Jacob Wilson.
Wow, no shot.
No, you want to know why?
Why?
The hits. It's all about the hits. If he continues to hit at the level that he does for the average that he does, he's just going to stumble his way into a major league career where he probably has 2,500 hits.
Yeah, that's true. And again, similar with Nick Kurtz, like he played the 50 homer pace last year.
Yeah.
If he does 3 of those and he winds up with 200 home runs by the time he's 26 years old, you could just kind of relax your way to get to 500, especially if he spends his whole career in what might eventually be Las Vegas, which could wind up becoming, if it plays anyway like it does in AAA, the second best hitter's park in baseball.
Yeah, Jacob Wilson last year, 151 hits in 125 games. So I'm just going to even just say he gets 150 hits a year. That's his average in like a 15-year career, right? So you times that by 15, that puts you at like 2,300, and he's going to obviously have seasons where he has more. So I'm like, he might be, we look back in 20 years and be like, Jacob Wilson has 2,800 hits. What do we do about this?
Yeah, that might. But again, like we said that about a guy that had like a horrible crime that got kicked out of the
Starlin
league.
Castro?
Yes.
Yeah.
There were those conversations about Starlin Castro when he was 27 too.
To be fair, he might have gotten close if he actually continued to play professional baseball.
No, that's true. But I do wonder, like, especially a guy like Jacob Wilson, because the defense didn't turn out to be exemplary this past year.
No.
I do think the defense can be at least slightly above average, but it'll be interesting to see how he oscillates and how that value actually comes to be.
I just wanted to do someone different than Kurtz because that was the easy pick.
No, for sure. And you love Jacob Wilson.
All right, Mariners. Julio?
This one, when I started doing the research and looking at this,
I feel pretty good that he's on a Hall of Fame career path.
Which, again, it might be crazy for you guys to hear, but Julio Rodriguez, he's got 20 WAR in 4 seasons.
Yeah.
He's just now about to enter his age 25 season. Like, it would be a disaster for him not to reach 50 WAR at this point.
It's crazy to think that his 162 game average, which, by the way, he plays about 150 games a year. But his season average is a 6 WAR player over the first 4 years. And you could argue that 2 of those seasons, he wasn't even really that good.
Dude, his 6 WAR per 162 pace, the only active players who are better than that are Mike Trout, Aaron Judge, Mookie
Shohei
Betts.
Ohtani.
I didn't even include Ohtani, so I'm not including Ohtani in any of these, but Tatis and Soto. Like, that's it in terms of active players that can do better than 6 WAR per 162.
And it's the classic thing with J-Rod that we expected different heights from him. We expected him to be an MVP candidate every single year. Like
it happened that first year.
First 2 seasons where you're like, this guy's going to hit 30 home runs, steal 100 bases, and have a 900 OPS. But then because the offense has gone down, you forget that he's still ridiculously good.
It's kind of gone down. That was also just a bit of a down year for offense. Like Julio's second year, he had more home runs, more stolen bases. Like he was great. Like he still has to iron out his inconsistencies. He probably has to do a little bit more of pitch selectivity in the strike zone, spit on a few more pitches that he can hit but can't do real damage on. And those are the kind of things that come with age. And he's such a good athlete that he's like this. Like the late 20s for Julio Rodriguez will be probably very, very kind to him.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's going to have he's on a Hall of Fame track, and I love J-Rod. Nice guy when I met him. All right, last team, Texas Rangers. James, is our boy Jacob deGrom?
I'm planting the flag. I'm saying Jacob deGrom. Like he'll never ever get to the volume, but on a per inning basis, like this is one of the best starting pitchers ever.
Yeah, he's my Sandy Koufax comp just because it's like the same thing of obviously injuries. Jacob deGrom kept pitching more, and it's funny how like when you retire does impact how people look at you. Like if Jacob deGrom stopped pitching in his absolute prime, you'd never be saying anything. But because he had injuries, dealt with stuff, missed some time, people are a little bit shaken off by him. But that's one of the most dominant pitchers I've ever seen in my entire lifetime.
You want to know the crazy thing about Jacob deGrom?
I do.
Doesn't even have 100 wins.
Oh, God. The Mets are the worst.
Yeah, and also, like, I think the cool thing about Jacob deGrom is that we just saw him come back and pitch like a very, very good full season.
Sustainable.
Like he just threw 175 innings with an ERA under 3. Like if Jacob deGrom can do that 2 more times, that would do wonders for his Hall of Fame case. Then he actually would be a pitcher that reaches 50 WAR. Like that's not the same plateau for pitchers as is for position players, but like it's just you got to remember that this guy lost 5 years of his prime.
Yeah, to
of when he was the best pitcher in the world, and he didn't even come up till he was 26 years old. Like
I also think all the players, like if you asked every single Major League Baseball player that played against him, they'd be like, that's the best pitcher I've ever faced, arguably.
Totally. And again, we've said this about the Mets, and we've gotten some shit for it. That I would retire his number
in a heartbeat.
And the Mets, I don't even think the Mets gave him enough of a welcome back this past season. But
they treated him like crap.
That's not for this channel.
Not for this channel. That's for the Mets the podcast. Link in description. All right. Want to go talk about the Mets in the NL East?
Yeah, let's go to the NL East now.
All right, let's talk about the New York Mets, James. Who'd you got?
All right, so I figured you would do Soto.
I did Lindor.
Okay, I did Lindor because I thought you would do Soto.
I did Lindor just because he's going to retire sooner than Juan Soto. So
yeah, totally true. And Lindor also just like it's the stats he's accumulating relative to the history of that position is kind of delusional. Like I have the first 11 seasons for Barry Larkin, Cal Ripken, and Francisco Lindor. Cal Ripken was a much better overall player. He accumulated a lot more WAR, but Francisco Lindor is basically the same hitter as him. He's a much better hitter and player than Barry Larkin through the same amount of time. Like it seems like just for the shortstop they're in the Hall of Fame, Lindor just has to continue even on like a 10-20% worse path, and it seems like he'll just have all of the stats to get himself there.
It's also really cool too that besides the 2018 season for Lindor, his best seasons have been with the Mets. Like the last 3 years that he's put up with this team, 6.1 WAR, 6.9, nice, 5.9. That's a disgusting 3-year stretch for a guy whose defense is still phenomenal, still elite, still a great glove over at shortstop. He's stealing bases, he's hitting home runs, he's doing everything that you'd ever want. And at age 31, he's got nearly 60 WAR. Like, just keep playing baseball, he's going to get there easy.
He'll get to 400 home runs for a shortstop, which is hallowed ground in terms of that position. Like he's stealing 30 bases a year still. He's aging gracefully, and he does seem like a player who has just so much baseball acumen, even though the bat speed's going down a lot, that he should continue to age gracefully. He's a baseball rat, and he's a guy that hopefully goes in the Hall of Fame with a Mets cap on.
He's going to get a ton of WAR, too, when he eventually does move to second base, because he's going to be such a premier fielder at that position. He's going to kind of break the algorithm a little bit.
Especially, like, it's funny that this contract for Lindor is only up when he's 37. Like he'll probably not even move to second base to the last like 3 years of that deal, which is still 3 full years away. Again, maybe that'll be a push and pull with this new Mets cutthroat organization with no sentimentality if they push him up shortstop sooner than later. But he's kind of a shoo-in at this point.
Yeah, he's my pick, but obviously Juan Soto too. Like he's doing things that we've only seen like Ted Williams and Mickey Mantle do at the plate offensively. So
no, I mean Juan Soto could retire with like the highest on base percentage ever.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
Like ever, all history of baseball, all time.
All right, Phillies,
I still did Bryce Harper.
Okay,
I did Mr. Raw Milk Bloodletting just because, like, while the peak seasons definitely feel over for Bryce Harper at this point, I'm just saying that he has such a skill set to compile forever.
You know what's crazy too? Like his peak seasons might be over, and he still I think was like 30% better than league average quietly last year, coming off of a year where he was like 52% better than league average.
I think Bryce Harper has never been a bad hitter. Like I think it's really important to remember that. Like remember 2016, people were trying to shit on Bryce Harper back then. He was like
me.
Yeah, that was you. Yeah, I mean he had a 370 on base.
Yeah, of course.
Like it was like he had a clean 800 OPS. Like he is. Bryce Harper's bat is so good that there's like he's got 360 home runs right now. Like
I am concerned about how he's looking though.
I'm definitely concerned about that. But 137 home runs away from 500. Like if he averages a 30 homer pace, he'll get there in August of 2030.
Yeah, that's easy.
That's so soon. Like that's like he'll get there at 40 even if he slows down tremendously, and he's going to retire with like a 380 on base percentage. Like this guy is a bona fide Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
he's already almost at 60 WAR.
Harper's my pick, but also Kyle Schwarber's back. He's going to get to 500 home runs. He's a Hall of Famer. I don't care what you did defensively or what your WAR is. You hit 500 home runs and you didn't take steroids. You belong in the Hall of Fame no matter what.
I dropped you guys the 500 home run stat on the Schwarber recap video we did today, but just to repeat it again, it came from Eric Halterman. Schwarber needs to average 32 homers per year over the next 5 years to reach 500. That's the exact same amount that Jim Tomei hit from age 33 to 37.
And that's, by the way, if he doesn't hit any more home runs.
None.
In the 5 years after these 5 years.
That's what I'm saying. And if he doesn't hit more than 32 in any of those years.
Yeah, which feels really attainable for Kyle Schwarber.
He can get to 550.
Yeah, he's definitely, I think, going to get there. All right.
Yeah.
It's enough Philly glazing. Let's talk about the Atlanta Braves, James.
I went crazy with this one. This is one I think I'm going to stand on when the time comes. Chris Sale.
Oh, boy. God, I wrote Chris Sale. Come on, man.
All right, I had some good stats about this. But 8 top 6 Cy Young finishes in his career, which is crazy. And I think 7 of those are top 5. I think a few of those are top 6, but I wanted to catch them all in. No top 5 is a more round number. He has the highest strikeout rate in Major League history with minimum 1,000 innings since they lowered the mound in 1969.
For a starting pitcher, right? Yep.
Yeah, for minimum 1,000 innings. For a starting pitcher. It's Sale, DeGrom, Snell, Scherzer.
Pretty good list.
That's it. And here's another thing. I tried to get some comparisons. These guys, I've shared some of them so far. Chris Sale across the board in his career is going to wind up with better stats everywhere than CC Sabathia.
Yes.
And he has the ring. And he has fewer than 1,500 innings, and he still has accumulated a similar amount of value, but he just has 100 fewer wins, so we're never going to consider him that.
Yeah, I think people forget that Chris Sale, before the injuries out in Boston, he was like a lock for 200 innings every single year. Like from age, 23 to 28, he was just 200, 200, 200, 200, 200, finishing in the top 5 of Cy Young voting, like you mentioned. And the fact that he's had this renaissance now after he got healthy with the Braves, It helps his case a lot again. Getting that Cy Young award also helps a ton.
And the World Series ring. We're forgetting that he has a World Series ring. He didn't pitch particularly well in that World Series, but he has the ring.
Yeah, he has the ring in 2018 with the Red Sox. So
yes. And again, I think the renaissance is important these last few years because Chris Sale was forced to basically call it quits at 34 years old with only 40-ish WAR, 50-ish WAR. We'd be like, probably not. But the fact that he now looks like he's can do another season or two of peak Chris Sale, it almost seems like there won't be a way to keep him out. And again, this is recalibrating the way we're going to think about pitchers in the Hall of Fame.
And I think we should, because again,
100%.
CC Sabathia, Hall of Famer, totally agree. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. Chris Sale, to me, is a better pitcher than CC Sabathia.
Every single statistic would agree with you on that, besides wins.
And that's not a knock on CC.
CC Sabathia is awesome. I love CC Sabathia, but it's just not. That's just it.
All right. These next 2 teams are impossible. So hard. This is a lot of projection for me on these. Which one do you want to go with first, James?
I guess the Marlins.
Okay, I went Yuri Perez.
Yeah, just because why not?
Just because he's 22. So like, I don't know. He's gonna throw a lot of innings by the time that he's done with his career. Hopefully for him, and being that young and being up and throwing as much as he has already, big head start on almost every pitcher in the history.
I did Jerry for the exact same reason.
Yeah.
So
There's no other choice on that team, by the way.
no, like I wanted to try and convince myself for Sandy, but it's just he started so late and now he's missed so much time and he's like under 20 WAR over 30 years old. There's almost no chance.
The Nationals are also a pretty impossible pick.
I mean, you just this is a pick. This is a bet on James Wood reaching 500 home runs.
Yeah, that was my pick. I wanted to try and convince myself that Mackenzie Gore is going to have a breakout in his late 20s, kind of like we saw with like Scherzer-ish, where he goes to a new organization, breaks out, you finally see the potential. But that's really asking for a lot too.
I listened to the Rates and Barrels podcast today doing winter meetings talk. They had a bunch of writers on scrolling through. Britt Giroli said that when the Nationals made Mackenzie Gore available at the deadline, the Boston Red Sox confirmed were the only team that called.
What?
And the offer wasn't even that good because teams just weren't that confident what they could get from him in the second half.
I guess they're just scared about what the deal is with him. You're like, why can't you ever be that good consistently?
To me, it's going to click at some point.
It has to. Is it just he's lefty?
Maybe it's just because he's lefty. It takes maybe like the diet, like the nutrition's not good.
Not enough sleep.
Because like for some reason, like the calendar turns to June 15th and he's dead. He's done.
I don't know anything about Mackenzie Gore as well. By the way, I don't know a thing about this guy.
I think it'd be weird if you did.
Yeah. All right. That's the NL East. Last division, the AL East, and we're gonna do the Yankees last. So let's go to the Tampa Bay Rays. I went Junior Caminero because again, there's no real other choices. I feel like.
Yeah, I did the same. He's the fourth youngest player ever to have a 40 homer, 100 RBI season, and those other guys are Ronald Acuna Jr., Mel Ott, Eddie Matthews.
Yeah, you're playing the home run game with him. That's what this is.
He played an elite season at 21, so like that's an amazing head start.
Yep, big head start. I don't really want to talk much more because I think that's kind of the conversation there.
Yeah.
Baltimore Orioles.
This division was weirdly hard to do, despite how good of a division it is. But here I did Gunnar just because.
Similarly,
again. He's got 17 WAR in 3 seasons. Like he looks like he'll be a shortstop that hits 30 homers a year, which is rare in the history of baseball.
Yeah, I think if you went back 3 years, people would have been saying Adley, but the fact that these last 2 seasons have been pitiful from him, it's really tough. Gunnar, being as young as he is, putting up the numbers that he has, and I think the numbers that he'll continue to. It's another one of those guys you're going to look back and be like, oh, he's got like 45 WAR in his 30s.
And Gunnar's also a guy where he'll get to like 380 homers. You'd be like, Gunnar is like the 7th most homers ever for a shortstop?
Yeah.
Like, what? That's crazy.
And that also is going to be weird because the shortstop position in the past was so horrible.
It's about to get really good.
It's about to get really, really good. And it's probably going to hurt some guys like Gunnar.
Yeah, probably will.
Because it's like, you're going to look back at the era that he played in and it's like, well, he's not Bobby Witt Jr.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, he wasn't Francisco Lindor. Like...
He might wind up.
He's not Ellie De La Cruz, which is going to be really annoying, probably.
There probably will be a battle between that crew of guys.
Yeah.
Onto who separates themselves. Like Corey Seager, who neither of us mentioned, was kind of near that list too. He's got the World Series MVP, but it's also just not playing enough baseball to accumulate these stats and wasn't the kind of premier defender these guys are either.
Yeah, not yet. I mean, he has been now, but not yet. All right, I like Gunnar there. That's who I went to. Blue Jays also felt like another easy one for me.
Who'd you do?
Vladdy.
Yeah, I did too. I wanted to count Scherzer, but again, technically not on the team, but Scherzer is going to the Hall of Fame.
Yes, of course.
Vladdy does have a ton of work to do and how the Hall of Fame, I think, in the modern era is evaluated.
Yes and no. So, like, yes, he has 1,000 hits and he's 26 years old.
Sure. The first base is such a high bar in the Hall of Fame. Though.
I know, especially because he doesn't – I don't know if he'll hit the big home run numbers.
And I definitely don't think he will. And it's like, even now, when we assume he'd have the highest batting averages of his career, just because he's younger, like, it's still only 288. Like, that'll never be 300. Like, and the fact that he's such a bad defender. Like, his WAR through 5 seasons is a dud. But, like, again, this is like a what do your eyes tell you?
Yes.
Is that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. looks like he will be, like, a peak hitter for the next decade, lockstep and barrel.
Get a World Series for those Blue Jays, that helps a lot too. And what he did in the postseason, sometimes that postseason stuff could help a lot.
Yeah.
And the one postseason that he's really gotten to play in, pretty unbelievable. Arguably one of the best we've seen from a hitter.
And another guy who's still just ridiculously young as well.
So young. He's going to be 27 next year, and he's got 1,100 hits, including a season with a COVID year. That also really fucked a lot of guys for counting numbers.
Tons of these guys this generation. I don't think gets talked about enough in terms of like what we're saying, these Hall of Fame cases,
like,
where all these guys basically missed a season.
A lot of these guys, you can add 100 hits, you can add 20 home runs. Like, they missed out on 100 games in a season. That's insane.
It is ridiculous, and it is sad for a lot of these guys who might wind up having these close cases if that doesn't become, kind of the staple in their discussion.
Second to last team, the Boston Red Sox. Who'd you put, James?
Hive mind, Roman Anthony.
No, I didn't.
Okay,
I went with the Cuban Missile Crisis. Aroldis Chapman. Give me him.
That's a great one.
Yeah, he's arguably one of the best closers of all time.
True. We also do have the character clause in the Hall of Fame still.
Yeah, definitely bad guy. Don't keep any weapons near him, and don't let him get disgruntled around his wife. But in terms of pitching on the field for closers, there's really not many better. And the fact that this past season, what he did, like he still got it left in the tank. He's probably got another year, maybe 2 years left, where not really worried about him falling off at all.
No, I mean, you look at the Aroldis Chapman, he's like, it's shocking how yoked he still is.
Brick shit house. I shout out Mike from Westfield, and he was working out on an Equinox on the Upper West Side. He sent a picture of me. He's like, "Is this Aroldis Chapman?" I was like, "Yeah." The dude, he's larger than life. He does not look like a baseball player. Let alone you'd be like, "That guy pitches? What the hell are you talking about?"
See, I think that's a great call. But Roman Anthony's he's gonna shit out 5-6 win seasons for the next
I hope
decade.
so. Yeah, I love Roman.
Like there's like almost like I can't even see him having lower than like a 3-win season ever at this point.
Ever. I like that.
No, it's kind of crazy to say. Like Roman Anthony's floor. Like if Roman Anthony if you got one became blind in one eye, like he's like kind of Andrew Benintendi. Like that's how good Roman Anthony is.
Same great hair.
Yeah,
good
hair.
Italians.
but much better player. Like Roman Anthony just had like less than half a season here. They got 3 WAR. Like it might get a little silly how much he can accumulate in his 20s.
Last team, New York Yankees.
Boring.
Did you pick Did you pick one of the boring ones, or did you do something crazy?
No, I did Aaron Judge.
I did Giancarlo Stanton. Okay,
nice. No one did Paul Goldschmidt.
No,
I guess not on the Yankees.
It's on the team, and I'll say this too. I don't think Garrett Cole is a shoo-in by any means.
He's not, but I do think that
we got to see what happens these next few years.
I think we'll know this August if he is.
Yes.
If Garrett Cole shows up early this season and looks like Garrett Cole again, I think he becomes close to a shoo-in.
Yes.
A ring would put him guaranteed over the top.
That's the thing. He's never won a ring. He's got the one Cy Young, right? So it's like...
Does he have the one Cy Young? Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he won the one Cy Young, right?
Yeah, he just won one.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not crazy for saying that.
No.
The no ring is crazy, though. Considering all the winning teams he's been on recently. That's nuts.
He really poorly timed the whole Astros thing.
He missed it by somehow missed every single opportunity.
It's almost impossible to think that Garrett Cole doesn't have a ring.
But yeah,
Cy Young's a big deal.
I went Giancarlo Stanton just because he's gonna have 500 home runs. He's gonna crawl his way to 500, but he will get there.
And I went Aaron Judge because he's probably having the best peak in the history of baseball right now.
Aaron Judge is a great pick.
It's kind of obscene what he's done.
Would not disagree with you on that. Any names that we didn't mention that are interesting?
I think I threw out the ones that were like kind of fun and quirky that I was thinking about. Like I got my Marcus Semien mention, I got my Paul Goldschmidt mention. Like those are going to be like the Matt Chapman hipster pick. Like that's
who I'm trying to think who could be another like weird little hipster pick. Oh man, should we talk about the elephant in the room?
What?
Should we talk about Luis Ariz?
Oh my God. But that's the opposite of a hipster pick.
But simply from the fact that he is just going to accumulate 180 hits probably for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
And if he plays 10 more seasons at 180 hits, it's going to put him at 2,800 hits for his career. He has to get to 3,000, right? Has to.
But I think that's the thing with a guy like Luis Ariz. Like I think baseball is getting past the point where like you give Luis Ariz 8 more seasons right now. You know what I mean?
I'm with you in that. I don't know. The Angels will probably pay him for the next 10 years to get 180 hits a season. They love second baseman.
They might do it if a team like he hasn't played second base in a while and he's never going to play it again. I think every team knows
Angels
that.
Might play him there.
I think if it was even 10 years ago, I think I would give you that with Ariz. But at this point, it's like I don't know. And also again to give you guys some hipster picks like. Andrew McCutcheon's going to retire, win MVP in 50 WAR.
Yeah, he's someone to me.
Pick.
Yeah, hipster pick. What about Bo Bichette?
Bo Bichette, I mean, I'm scared of Bo Bichette athleticism right now.
Of course, but he's right around 300 average. When he plays, which have been, he had some injuries here and there, but he's a guy who's like 190 hits a year when he's healthy. He's going to be 28 next year. He's going to be an interesting case.
I do wonder about his knees.
Yes,
his
definitely about that. Yeah.
Bo Bichette's like the slowest 28-year-old in the league right now, who's like not a big guy. It's kind of worrisome. Like,
yeah, I can get behind that.
Weirdly, Xander Bogaerts is in his early 30s and he's already over 40 WAR. Like that's again, like he doesn't feel or look like a Hall of Famer, but you're gonna get to a point where his stats say he could be. Bregman will be in a similar spot when he retires. Like he'll be like a 55 win player when he retires. Like that will be someone that's relatively kind of remotely close.
I'm looking at like just some home run numbers. I don't think this guy is there, but Trevor Story having 200 home runs at 32
Yeah, I guess.
is interesting. I don't think he's going to be a
Something.
Hall of Famer, but that's only 20 home runs behind Corey Seager and a year older. Like Trevor Story sneaks into a couple 30 home run seasons, which I could see because he is a good power guy. He's going to get closer to 400 than you'd probably expect. Again, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, but
Where does a guy like Kenley Jansen wind up?
he probably is going to be a real
He'll get
argument.
votes.
Yeah.
Like there will be diatribes about Kenley Jansen's Hall of Fame case in both ways.
Yeah, and I think that's totally fair, right?
Here's another one for you. This guy's going to get to 500 home runs, I think. Peter Morgan Alonso.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's going to get to that 500 home runs. Good chance of that.
Yeah, he does have a really good chance of getting there. Dang.
Here's another hipster pick. Like Will Smith is going to wind up with like 5 rings when he retires as a catcher.
Yup, and
Like,
we know
he's
people
gonna-
love that.
Like he's gonna be Yogi Berra-esque in that sense, and that'll be a good chance to get near that list.
Ozzy Albies has 1,100 hits at age 28.
But Ozzy Albies looks toast.
I know, but
Right now,
it's just
like-
it's trying to identify like
who's gonna be the
who's gonna be like the Nick Markakis conversation we have. Where like, is he gonna keep playing to try and get there?
Like he's just gonna keep showing up to the park and doing it. Like it's fun to have these conversations. I do think
Glaber
that,
has 1,000 hits at 28.
but there's no way he gets 2,000. There's no way he gets 200% more hits in
I
12 years.
know. I'm just saying. It's just
There's no chance.
it's funny to just say these things out loud. Is there anybody?
You know this.
I'm just looking for anybody. Man, Acuna's at 900 with 27 at age 27.
Acuna can do Hall of Fame-ish stuff.
Definitely.
Like Acuna also. I don't know what peak Acuna looks like from here on out. Like the way he hit last year was still like one of the best guys in the league.
Yeah,
but I
of
do
course.
wonder. I wonder what the next 10 years for Ronald Acuna Jr. look like. And I wouldn't have said that even after one ACL, but 2 ACLs. It's those you start to think about those things.
Definitely a little scary. And then I'm going to briefly look at active war leaders right now just to see if there's anybody at the top that we're missing. You mentioned Semien, you mentioned McCutchen, Seager, Trey Turner, I guess also going to have a
Yeah.
conversation.
There will be a relative conversation with him, but Trey Turner it's like just such a nondescript player when you think about the history of baseball.
Yeah, I'm with you there. He's not someone who screams Hall of Famer to me, but might just accumulate, might be an accumulator.
He might be like a 53 WAR guy, and you had the conversation 5 years after he retires. You're like, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's kind of it of the conversation that we can realistically have. It's a real shame that Yordan Alvarez has the worst knees
Yeah.
of any human on the planet.
Matt Olson would be a funny one because Matt Olson might just hit for the next 9 years and like basically play his whole career with the Braves. Like he'll wind up with counting stats that are like this generation Hall of Fame
You
adjacent.
squint, you're like,
Like did Matt Olson could get like like the Fred McGriff treatment after like 9 years on the ballot.
yeah, definitely. All right,
Yeah.
I like that. Good conversation. Let us know in the comment section if we missed somebody. If you guys disagree with us, we'd love to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe to the Wind Up. 10,000 subscribers, giving away a signed MLB jersey. You can follow James on his social media at
James Shiano.
I'm Giraffe Neck Mark. Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.